Second year at Balbirnie, we are going to be looking at direct drilling of spring barley. It's a hard nut to crack up here in Scotland, and ourselves we've had a few failures at that over the years. So we're looking at different seeding dates to see if we can glean any information that allows us to manage that situation better. We're also going to overlay that with a cover crop trial, so see if we can get any benefits from having green cover crops, and when we terminate them in the spring, can that help us? We're also going to be looking at the use of foliar urea as a nitrogen source for our wheats. So we're starting a trial on that, where we're looking at different application timings, different products, to see if we can essentially reduce the amount of nitrogen fertiliser that we can use to grow a crop. In this day and age, that's becoming increasingly important as we start looking at our carbon footprint, and very pertinent at the minute, of course, is the cost of the nitrogen at the minute. Also, we're building on the trial that we had last year, which was looking at the use of nutrition solely as a way of keeping a crop healthy with no fungicides. We are going to expand on that, and actually after some anecdotal work or results that were seen on the farm, we're going to look at the introduction of some biological controls for disease, and see if we can make some inroads into that information, again trying to reduce the use of fungicides. We've planted a cover crop of peas and beans purely because up here most of the small seeded species that we could grow further south, unless it's sown before the middle of August, they just don't do much for us. So peas and beans, good big strong seeds, so we can plant them right through September and hopefully get a reasonable amount of cover that will allow us to run a successful trial next year. Also interested to see whether we can we get some nitrogen fixed from these plants, possibly not over the winter, but maybe early in the spring as it starts to warm up, and get some benefit there. What we've done to date mostly on the farm is sprayed off any green material or volunteers or cover crops before we've sown the spring crop. But we have done a little bit of work of actually what we call sowing on the green, so leaving the cover crop living and just drilling the next cereal crop straight into that, and it proved quite successful. So we're going to, in the trial, we'll be looking at the different stages of burning off the cover crop from ages before, a long time before the establishment, just before, to indeed after the establishment, see if we can get any information as to what's the most successful for getting these spring crops out the ground. This field in the spring we intend to start we'll plant 3 different replicates of the trial, and we intend to plant the first replicate on the date when most of our neighbours, who by and large are using a conventional plough and power harrow establishment system, will plant the barley on that date, and then maybe 10 days to a fortnight later we'll plant the next trial, and then another 10 days to a fortnight after that we'll put the last one in. Obviously that will be guided by the weather at the time, so there may be a bit of variation in there, but trying to see whether we can pull the date forwards. Is it better waiting till later, with the knock-on effects that has potentially of a later harvest, and so on and so forth. So that's the basis of the trial, again overlaid with the different destruction times for the cover crop. The establishment of spring barley and the cover crop will be for spring cropping. The nutrition stroke biology and the foliar urea trial will be based on wheat crops, which are just emerging as we speak.